Recently I've been messing with my room, I've added some new consoles, I changed up my setup a little bit, and I got a question about what the oldest console I have is. I think that this could be a good opportunity to show you guys all of my different systems, how they're plugged in and all that sort of thing. Let's go through it. And shout out to Gareth from Yorkshire. What is the oldest console I have? Okay, so I'm going to take this in two different ways, or at least I'm going to answer it in two different ways. First is going to be the oldest console that I have in terms of like when they released, and then next up is the oldest console I have in terms of the oldest one to me, because I feel like those two things are different. Okay, so if we just come behind my TV, some people are going to say that this is bad cable management. This is perfect cable management, considering just how many cables are back here. Trust me, you think you know, but you don't know just how many cables are back here. There is no joke. There might genuinely be 20 HDMI cables and retro upscalers and HDMI switches, HDMI splitters. Trust me, there's a lot of stuff back here. So the oldest console I think I have in terms of the actual age of it is going to be that PlayStation 1 right there. Granted, it is genuinely a little bit pointless. There is no need whatsoever for me to own that console because I have a PlayStation 2 over there, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that PlayStation 3 is completely backwards compatible with PlayStation 1 as well. And generally, PlayStation 1 is a little bit too far back for me. There are not many games that I collect for PlayStation 1. I wouldn't say that I collect for PlayStation 1. I bought that because it was 35 quid, and I wanted the piece of history, and I had a spot for it. This is a little bit messy right now, I know, but it's because I've got some stuff to sort out. But when it comes to PlayStation 1 stuff, the only games that I have are Silent Hill 1, and then the Resident Evil games for the PlayStation 1. And then if we come over here to my other shelves, you'll see that I've got a few more up there with Metal Gear Solid, Grand Theft Auto 1, Tekken 1, 2, and 3, and Shrek Treasure Hunt. Sometimes people ask me what the first game I remember playing is. It's an interesting one. The first game that I ever played was either Resident Evil Nemesis for the PlayStation 1, or Shrek Treasure Hunt for the PlayStation 1. That is about as polar opposite as you feasibly could have gotten. Now then, what is the oldest console to me? Okay, so I reckon my oldest console to me is going to be my PlayStation 2. That isn't my original PlayStation 2, but I still do have my original PlayStation 2. In fact, the memory card that is plugged in to that PlayStation 2 is my childhood PlayStation 2 memory card. Right down to that PlayStation 2 controller on the floor is my childhood PlayStation 2 controller. I have generally always looked after my stuff, so my stuff survives. But yeah, the reason that I've got two PlayStation 2s and one of them isn't in use right now is because I didn't want to... basically, I've done some stuff to that PlayStation 2 that I just showed you guys, and I didn't want to do said stuff to the PlayStation 2 that I had from childhood, basically. Next up, one of my next oldest consoles that I own or remember getting is that Game Boy Advance SP. How old would I have been? In 2004, so I would have been about 6, I think. I'm pretty sure was when I got that. I'm pretty sure that I was 6 years old when somebody bought me that Game Boy Advance. We lived at a pub in Somerset, in Banwell, called the Whistling Duck. I think it got knocked down and turned into a co-op at some point along the line. And one Christmas, I was bought, or one birthday, it was either or, I was bought that Game Boy Advance SP, and it's the exact same one to this day. The only handheld system that I don't currently have from my childhood is a DS Lite, because, I don't know about you guys, but when things broke when you were a kid, you didn't necessarily get them fixed. And it wouldn't even have to be a significant break. Like, I remember my Nintendo, my DS Lite, the hinge broke on it eventually just through wear and tear because I used the hell out of it. And instead of getting the hinge swapped, which probably would have been a very easy thing to do, I think my dad threw it away or something, I'm not sure. But also, if you guys have made it this far into the video, do be sure to subscribe because I've got a spot on the wall there for a future silver play button. Love you. In terms of the other consoles on there, the DSi XL, the big blue one, I remember that I got that at some point before 2012 while my nan was still alive in her old house, because I remember I've even got photos in that house of me on that DSi camera. Fun fact. The Metroid Prime original DS is actually a gift from a friend a long time ago, and then obviously we've got the Pokemon Sun and Moon 2DS that I've had since that game came out, because it was only 99 quid. And I remember that I got mine when I worked at Tesco, and shortly after Tesco Payday, they used to give you 20% discount rather than 10. So I think I actually got that DS and a game for like 80 quid because it was 20% off. It was a good deal. Does mean that I don't have a physical copy of Moon or Sun though, which annoys me a little bit. In terms of the next eldest console that I probably own, the Wii that is under there, that was next to the PlayStation 1, is probably quite old at this point, if we're being real. But it isn't old to me. I got it like 2 years ago when we moved into this house, because when we moved into this house and had infinitely more space, me and my partner were like, yeah, it could be fun to have a Wii and just dick about on bowling or something. But the next oldest console to me is going to be that PlayStation 3 right there. That PlayStation 3 Slim is a juggernaut. It will not die. You see my Switch over there? Not my Switch, my 360 over there. In my life, I've had, I think, 3 360s die on me. Not one of them, by the way, was because yellow light of death. They just, I don't know, they stopped working. In terms of other Xboxes as well, my Series X has been going strong since release, but being as, it's current gen, you would hope so. But I think I've had 2 Xbox Ones, because one of them died on me. I definitely have had at least 2 PlayStation 4s, because the original PlayStation 4 decided that it was going to fly away, because that's what PlayStation 4s do. And then I replaced it with a PS4 Pro, which I'm pretty sure is upstairs in storage with my original PS2 as well. But that PS3 is my original PlayStation 3 Slim from when the Slim released, and it has never ever died. And it, to this day, it got really, really loud at one point, and I thought it was on its way out. And then, this was like, I don't know, a few years ago. I think I was like 23, and it was when I realised that I could actually, take the systems apart without breaking them and really give them a thorough clean. And then ever since then, it's deadly silent. I love that console. The PlayStation 3 controller might be my favourite controller of all systems. To this day, I wish I could use that PlayStation 3 controller. It would bring me great joy. What's my next eldest console after that? It's probably the 360. I was always a PlayStation kid growing up, and then eventually my nan got me a 360 because it was where a lot of my friends were on. Despite the fact that I was always a PlayStation kid growing up, I think that it was pretty well accepted that in the era of PS3 and 360, when it came to multiplayer games, most people were on Xbox. If you wanted to play COD with your mates, you probably needed an Xbox. It was that sort of thing. So we got an Xbox. It's why when people ask me questions about Halo and things like that and Gears of War, when it comes to the multiplayer of those games, I don't have much to say. Because when it came to multiplayer, I was always a Call of Duty kid and Battlefield a little bit. And it was always, for a long time, PlayStation until eventually I switched to Xbox. But by the time I switched to Xbox, I think Halo Reach or Halo 4 was out. And maybe Gears Judgment, I don't know. It was well past Halo's prime and well past Gears of War prime when it comes to their multiplayers. So it wasn't really anything they ever participated in big time. The next eldest console that I own, but not necessarily to me, is gonna be under there. I recently got a PlayStation 4 with the PT Silent Hills demo on it. That is pretty old at this point. It's over a decade. And yeah. So if we go through all the systems that I actually have so that we can actually, keep track. We've got a Wii, if we just move the camera. Under there I've got a Nintendo Wii, an Xbox, a PlayStation 1, a PS3, a PS5, a Nintendo Switch, a Series X, a 360, and then a handheld Switch, the one that's handheld only. My PS2 that does need a dust on the top, my PS4, and then, in fact, I over here have my old decommissioned Xbox One, like the original Xbox One, but it's, not in use, because when you've got a Series X, what could you ever need it for? In this drawer, I have an Oculus Quest 2, and then if we come over back to the pegboard, I have my PSVR 2 hanging up down below my handhelds. Sadly, I was really hoping that the PSVR would fit in the drawer next to the Oculus, but it's a lot bigger apparently. I've yet to actually use it. We'll get there soon, shortly. And then, of course, with my handhelds, I've got the original DS, the DSi XL, the Game Boy Advance SP, and a 2DS. Just a regular 2DS. And yeah, I don't collect consoles. Every console I have, for the most part... The closest to collecting a console I have is that PlayStation 1, because it serves no purpose. The PS4 is solely a catalyst for me to be able to play PT. Everything else is something that I've had pretty much since they released, or was a replacement for something since release, like the PS2. The Wii probably gets the least use, although earlier this year I did play through all of the Silent Hill games one after another, and Silent Hill Shattered Memories is by default supposed to be a Wii game, and I played that on there, and that was pretty interesting. Luckily, if you look, the sensor bar for the Wii fits quite nicely in between the stand for my TV and like the actual like TV itself, so that suits quite well. And the really cool thing about my setup is every single console except for the PlayStation 1 and the Xbox One back there that's like decommissioned is playable and usable right now without me messing with any cables, which I think is the big cool thing about this setup. The only cables that you guys can see in these clips, like from the front, like if I flip you around, like if you can see a cable right now, it's because that cable is currently serving a purpose. So there's the one going to the PlayStation 3 controller because I needed to charge that up the other day. That's inevitable. And then of course there's the ring light that's going to the Series X, and then the PlayStation 2 controller that's at my feet because I've been playing PS2 a decent chunk recently. But generally, when I'm playing on next-gen consoles, you can't really see too many things. I need to tidy up under there as well. I can push all of that to the back and like tip it up so you can't see it while I'm sat down. The only reason that's been pulled forward is because recently I've been messing with my setup when I got the PS4 and had to like reorganize the cables back there. So I just need to tuck those away again. It is, as far as I can do, very, very well cable managed. The only cable management problems I have is that because I have this monitor next to me on my sofa, along with my camera and another ring light, is the camera requires 2 cables, the ring light requires 1, and the monitor requires a power cable and a display cable. And then, of course, I also have this cable here for plugging this camera into so that I can, hook it up to my PC, which is 6 cables that are unhideable because we are literally in the middle of the room. It's annoying, and maybe one day we'll get the tech to do it. Like, I remember I saw Linus Tech Tips once do like a wireless HDMI thing. That could be kind of cool, but I'd still have, power cables, and the camera would still require cables, and obviously this microphone has got another cable as well that runs inside of the arm. So part of being a content creator sometimes is having to deal with unhideable cables. If I wasn't a content creator, you would not see a single cable in this room besides maybe the power cable and the display cable for this monitor, because I need this monitor here. Because basically, my room is set up so that if you actually look right now, this monitor behind me back here is displaying exactly the same image as this monitor here. And that TV there, if I was to turn on this TV back here, would also be displaying the same image. And the way that happens is I've got some powered HDMI cables running down the back of the room in the skirting board all the way behind the TV, and they're very well hidden. But the monitor that's in the middle of the room, I don't really have much of a choice about. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and that's my console collection. See you later.